young, so I grew up visiting my grandparents all the time. I guess it's sort of the same way that my mom used to see her. Everybody, she would always talk about she had a relationship with her grandparents, and it was important for me to have the same thing with mine. She taught me math, the M&Ms. If I got the question right, I got to eat the M&Ms. He did. So he ate a lot of M&Ms at first. I'd like to think that things got better. Angus actually got the geology angle. I flew them once. We were having Christmas at Liz's house, and they were up in Grand Junction. I picked them up at the airport and flew them down to Durango and to have Christmas with Liz. My grandfather was pointing out all the geological stuff that he could see from the air. He said, "Oh, there's that, and that rock did that, and such and such." And meanwhile, my grandmother, I thought at the time she had some emphysema, and I thought that she said she could breathe better at altitude. But what I've since figured out is I think she was hypoxic, which means she wasn't having enough oxygen in the system. The first thing you do is you start having a feeling of euphoria. So I guess it was a wonderful flight for both of us. But I think by far the nicest thing my grandfather ever did for me when I was other than imparting education, was to me his number one most important thing, and he helped fund my education in both high school and college, I believe. He's the reason I went to a boarding school, just like he did. I actually wanted to go to Lawrenceville, his high school alma mater, if you will. But he told my parents that he would prefer me to go to Milton Academy in Massachusetts, because my dad's best friend and all of his family lived around Milton, and I wouldn't have a family support system in Lawrenceville, which I guess is something that he perhaps had wished that he'd have when he was in Lawrenceville. So I went to high school in Milton because of him and the education angle. But he bought me
Cowboy gear?
He bought me cowboy gear. Yeah, well, that's the whole thing, right? He flew me out to his cabin in Wyoming. So out there as a kid, and it was just me and him for 2 or 3 days, and that, I think he must have been bored to tears, but I thought it was great. And then we went on a pack horse trip, and he actually rode the horse.
Really?
Yeah, we rode horses together, so I didn't even know that he was as anti-horse as.
Oh.
Yeah, so he does ride horses on occasion. He rode a horse out to the campsite there, which maybe 4 or 5 miles, and then I went out for the day, and I'd come back, and he'd still be there. He only rode the horse once on the way out and once on the way back. But he actually paid for another kid my age to go on the trip with me, because he wanted me to have somebody to play with and not be out there by myself. And he did that. We went to the Cody, Wyoming gun, I guess it's a gun museum.